Everybody, Neil Sean here. Today we're outside the world famous, possibly the best known recording studio, in fact, in the world, Abbey Road. This is the home, of course, of so many Beatles classics, but so many more, from the likes of Dame Shirley Bassey, Tom Jones, Kate Bush, you name it. Anybody who's anybody has literally recorded and walked through these doors. It's a phenomenon when you think about it. Today I wanted to share this particular interview with you. It's of a lady whose father was, well, internationally renowned, world famous, and some might say considered to be the greatest drummer of all time. We're talking, of course, about the supremely talented Buddy Rich, and today we meet his daughter Kathy, who's here recording a brand new track in order to keep that wonderful legacy alive. So without further ado, let's pop inside and say hello to the beautiful Kathy Rich.
Hi, Kathy Rich.
And Greg, I have to ask you the question of this. We're here today in this, well, historic really, Abbey Road. I mean, tell us what you're doing here together today. What's the project?
I actually thought I was just coming here to carry her luggage.
Which is not a bad idea, actually.
I was just carrying bags in, and then
Who are you calling a bag?
Oh, leave her alone.
You're naughty.
Naughty.
Exactly. Is she here with me?
Yes. But what are you
Please
here
get me.
for?
I don't
What
know.
are you here for?
Yeah.
I noticed that the drums have my name on them. They have my initials on them, so I'm figuring I am going to play the drums.
Yeah.
But that's a good segue from the Muppet Show and a puppet playing the drums to me. And no, I wasn't on the Muppet Show, and no, they probably wouldn't have me. But maybe
That's
they
true.
did. But what we are doing here today, am I allowed to actually give that before Kathy says what we're doing?
Absolutely.
Sure.
So, Buddy and Kathy recorded a number years ago, 8 months ago.
I was 12 at the
'Cause
time.
we really don't like to speak of ages.
We don't talk about age.
Right, we never speak of age. So in the past, at some point in the career, Kathy, as a small child, very small child, her and her father did the Sonny and Cher classic, And the Beat Goes On, which became quite the, it's all over, let's see, feature films. It's been
that version for some reason took off.
Right, so
And
I mean,
it's been used in so many different things.
Are we
There
not
was-
allowed to say the name
you
of
can
that
say
film?
the
You
movie.
make me watch that one part all the time. It's like any movie I'm in, we only watch
Alfie.
Oh, Alfie. So it's
The
in
remake
Alfie.
of Alfie, they used the entire track, like
There
all
you go.
5 minutes of it.
There you go.
So amazing.
Right. Whereas my film appearances take maybe 2 or 3 seconds.
I'm
So you really don't. You don't get.
You don't
much
get to
of
see
us-
him.
of that. No, but it was in that, and then there was a television show that used it.
Yes.
And now these EDM, these disco DJs are mixing Kathy's vocals from when she was a small child into these dance
Tracks.
See how she answers the question? I mean, she finishes my sentences.
That's love for
It's
you.
what I'm supposed to
But
do.
What's it
Okay,
like, Kathy,
so-
when you find yourself on a dance track, though? I mean,
Yes.
you know, because I don't mean that, but it's a strange thing because you did it in a different way.
Yes.
And then they rediscovered
Right,
it.
so
you
they
know?
really discovered it, and now that's what we're doing, is we're here today with my drums. Buddy is not here.
Nope. But
In
this is
spirit.
today happens to be, and it's so weird how things turn out. The only day they had available in Abbey Road was today, April 2nd, and that is the 35th anniversary of my dad's passing. Wow. So it's all, it just kind
is
of,
in the universe, isn't
it
it?
absolutely. So we decided, because all these tracks have been out there with this 12-year-old voice, we decided let's go in and do the definitive version.
When she's 23.
Now that I'm, a little older.
24? She's 24 this year. So
I know the feeling.
Right. And we're going to do, and we'll change it up and make it completely different than the EDM thing and the original. So we've come in and it's going to be fantastic.
I was looking back at your dad's career, and for me, I think some of the most exciting era of music was the big band, the Tommy
yeah.
Dorsey, that sort of stuff. It just seemed, Kathy, so glamorous. Everybody was beautifully attired. The women looked impeccable. And there's your dad in the epicenter of it all. What was his memories of that period for him?
He was a kid. He was a teenager when he joined the Tommy Dorsey band. And, I think that because he was so popular in that era, he was in Tommy Dorsey's band, he was in Artie Shaw's band, he was like, he was the guy. So that was like the Beatles of those days. That was the ultimate of popular music, were big bands. And, the way he described it, he said Tommy Dorsey ran the band like the military. So he said, not that much fun, but it was a great learning musical experience. And then Frank Sinatra came on the band, shortly thereafter, and they were fighting for the title of, who's the star of the band. So there were, fisticuffs ensued and crazy things happened, but they maintained their friendship their whole lives. So, his memories were fond of that time.
You touched on Frank Sinatra.
Yes.
I've been lucky enough to interview his daughter and sadly his late son.
Yes.
And you get so many different memories, don't you, from individual people, because, I remember interviewing Jack Lemonson. I don't mean this big-headedly, but, he was a kid when they were making Some Like It Hot, and he had a different Marilyn. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
And
yes.
There's all sorts of different, what was Frank Sinatra like in your memory? Because Judy Garland's daughter said to me, he was just Frank, and I thought,
Exactly.
right.
He was Uncle Frank to me. So that he would call the house and say, "Hey, baby, it's your Uncle Frank," and I'd be like, "Oh, okay, I'll go get my mom." It was like that. And he would be over, and they would hang out, and those times and those people, just seemed normal to me. Having Jerry Lewis come to your house and having Frank come to your house, and all of this, just for me that was my life. Now looking back on it, it's absolutely ridiculous and extraordinary because that doesn't happen to everybody. So yes, Frank was an amazing human being.
Is it strange though, Kathy, that these people are icons that we buy pictures of, and they, do you think they would have ever dreamt that they would still be looked at in this, day and age? Because obviously we all live in the moment, don't we?
Absolutely.
We don't think people are going to listen to us anymore or buy our records.
Right.
And you look at, everybody knows Frank Sinatra, like
Yes.
Marilyn Monroe,
Icons.
Yeah.
These people, for my father, in particular, because he was in the hospital one time, and they said he got more mail than when John Wayne was in the hospital. So he just couldn't believe that many people cared, number one, and knew who he was, number two. And I'm like, how do you not know this, right? And to this day, 36 years later, he's as popular as he was, then, because he asked me to continue things on. And so that's what we're doing. We have the band, and we go on the road, and we keep his legacy alive. So again, talent was nurtured back then, and greatness rose to the top. And so those that were great managed to have a career for a lifetime. Yeah. Frank Sinatra, Buddy Rich, all of those people who came up at that time were all like amazing artists. Not just people who, I'm going to go in the closet and sing a song, right?
Oh, and film it.
And film it, right?
And who did I often think this with great musicians, who did your father admire? Who was because we all look, say, to him, and we go, I like him, but who did he, put an album on or an LP on?
Right.
Thought,
when he was
like
home,
this,
he listened to singers. He wasn't like a band guy. He didn't listen to his own records. He didn't listen to other, big bands. But he loved, Tony Bennett, Sarah Vaughan, Ella Fitzgerald, Frank, obviously. All the greats, the classics. And when he was home, that's what he wanted to listen to because it was soothing for him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. A total switch off.
Complete.
How old were you then, Kathy, when you realised that your father was famous? Because I always find that strange with children of famous people, because they suddenly come to another country and everybody knows your dad. And you must, as a 10-year-old, go,
what's going on here? Yeah. Like, I think the first time I knew that my life might be a little different, because my godfather was Jerry Lewis, and he would come to the house and whatever, and I would go to school and tell my friends, my Uncle Jerry's coming over. And they'd be like, no, you're lying, you're this, you're that, blah, blah, blah. So there would be a line of kids outside the door waiting to see if Jerry Lewis was going to show up. And of course he would, and he would be gracious to everybody. But at that point in time, I was like, I think maybe my life is a little bit different than most people, But I never thought my dad's famous. He was on TV, he did what he did for a living, but he was a family guy. He wasn't, I'm going to cocktail parties and I'm hanging out and whatever. When he was off the road, he was at home, he was going to baseball games, and he was just being a normal dad.
And so to you, that was just normal.
Normal, yeah.
Jerry Lewis, I was lucky enough to meet him when he came over to do Damn Yankees
in
London.
Yes.
I absolutely loved him. I thought he was fabulous,
fantastic,
incredibly funny guy. But like a lot of comedians, had dark moments. I spent quite a bit of time with him when he was here.
Yes.
Lovely man, always great to me, but I could sense there was this, you know, they need to be funny, and you have to plunder your own almost
Right.
depression to be funny.
Yes,
do you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Well, a lot of comedians are just depressed individuals that, you know, end up going to the other side. I'm going to be funny today, right? But really, they're miserable on the inside. So, yes, but it's true. A lot of comedians are like that, you know, or they're the ones that just, that's a character they're playing,
right.
and they're just normal guys, you know, on the other side.
How would you, now you're in Abbey Road today, for somebody new who hasn't discovered your father, or indeed your town, Greg, how would you describe what the sound that you're making, you know? Because every sound has to have this, you mentioned EDM, and I thought, I know what you mean.
Right.
I don't know.
Right,
People,
exactly.
Electronic dance music.
Exactly.
you
That's
see.
it.
I could have said disco.
Yeah,
but
Disco.
then we
which is
went,
what
oh my
I
God,
thought.
That's
did
a
you
whole
escape
other
from the
thing.
office?
Right.
You know, I mean, but that's a whole other thing. But realistically, it's very close because
disco.
again,
Yes.
these kids these days, they think I invented it.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
No, you
When he
didn't.
said it, I thought, oh, he's down with the kids.
Yes,
But,
that's EDM.
But how would you, you know, because if you've never heard what you're doing,
Right.
and or indeed what your father's done, you know, how do you get the TikTok generation to discover your music, and how would you put that into simple words?
Funny you should say that, because the version of The Beat Goes On that I recorded at 12 years old became a TikTok phenomenon. Someone lifted the vocal and put it on an EDM track, and all of a sudden it's got 1 million hits on TikTok and everybody's going crazy. So we're thinking, well, that's me, so why don't we just go in and do it now with me, as opposed to have somebody with a 12-year-old voice, you know, doing it and getting all these hits. So Buddy's music at that time was the EDM of that era. So it was the popular music, and the kids were dancing, and everything was like that. So we're doing it today as a dance track, but not EDM.
Yes.
You know, it's like it's
you,
a
Captain.
different vibe,
mean,
but yet
right.
danceable. Like the track is incredible.
And we tour with Buddy's band. We tour the world with that, and they're still releasing. Like we have a new. I say we.
Yes.
Kathy's father. My father sells auto parts.
Your father-in-law.
Oh, my father-in-law. No, Buddy. When Buddy met me as a child, he never knew what was going to happen.
Later,
He would have been
down
a lot
the
nicer than
line.
me. He would have
Buddy,
been
in,
a lot nicer.
in 20 years, if you only knew what was going to happen.
You only knew the young man.
We all know what's going to happen in 20 years.
Well, that's true. I think Buddy or Buddy would have had some of Frank's friends
Come and pay you a visit.
probably tune me up. I don't even know what I was going to say now, but
It doesn't matter.
Whatever I did, but we're out on the road and we're playing with the band, and we're playing Buddy's music, and the audiences. We play for young people along with it.
It's
to
a
come see the Buddy
cross-section.
Rich band. It's not like. You don't want to say like, because at this point you wouldn't say
It's not your
big band
grandfather's
music,
music.
your great grandfather, your great. We're not doing that. And now Buddy really wasn't either. If you remember, if you listen to Buddy, we were watching where was it Benny Goodman who was sitting there, and he even was talking about Buddy's music as being, you're a bit too loud, Buddy. You know what I mean? So even Buddy's not considered. He's a jazz great phenom.
Right.
But I'm saying,
But he was playing popular
But he was
music.
playing pop music. He was playing
Right.
Beatles charts in '68 when the Beatles were still the Beatles. He was playing. So I'm saying that's what we're trying to do too, is because Buddy wanted this music to be played for the future. Yeah. It's not really a nostalgia act where we come out and we dress like I don't.
No,
I don't
We
know what-
don't. No.
But I'm saying there's so much of that now. You could go see a Queen tribute band, and Queen's really coming back a month from now. But I'm going to go see. I'll see the other ones. They're only 31 pounds to go see them. The real Queen, 300 pounds, or whatever.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We're not
I
like
like the fact as well, sir, in the website that you said you're open to festivals, and I think
Yes.
that's a really good
Yes.
idea,
Absolutely.
because you're
Yes.
really connecting with a real mixed bag of an audience, but a whole different audience.
Yes,
Yeah.
we've done that. We've played in front of with
All
groups.
different.
Yeah, all different types of groups, as opposed to like the jazz festival with the Buddy Rich band featuring Kathy Rich and that other guy.
Right.
I'm gonna get
It
my name
crosses every genre,
wrong. Right.
actually.
And that's with this track. What we're doing, this is gonna open up, like you say. Maybe they don't know who Buddy Rich is, but because in no way do we think, oh wow, we've replaced Buddy Rich with the guy from Chicago with the funny accent.
No.
No, that's not what we're
He's
doing.
irreplaceable.
We're in, as you say, this historic building, When you're wandering around, do you feel that, you know, like because you kind of, I've been lucky enough myself to be here a few times. There was
Yes.
and you wander around and you think, really, did this happen? You know, like you
No.
know what I mean?
When
Oh,
I first,
gosh,
I
yes.
was almost started crying as soon as I walked through the doors because the music that has been made in this building is some of the greatest music of the 20th century. You know, I mean, from the Beatles on down. So to walk into the room, I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it, and to see the piano that Paul McCartney played Lady Madonna on, you want to lose your mind, right? It's just in the other room, and it's like you can't. I don't know that you can fathom the depth of it because of all the greatness that has come out of here, and what an honor it is to be able to record here.
Finally, you're in Britain, as I say. How would you like to leave a message for all the fans that still love and admire you? You know, your wonderful dad, good-looking fella. I have to
Not
point
bad.
out as well. You know? And but I wonder if that helped actually. You know, because you think, don't you? We think about pop stars just being good-looking today.
Yes.
But he was a very debonair-looking guy.
And he was
you
in the
know?
movies, and he was on TV. So yes, he had the whole thing going for him. Yes.
But how would you know, like him to be remembered now for those that are now just discovering him? If you could succinctly put it into a very sort of fine moment.
Wow.
Why should people now look at Buddy today in 2023?
You know, like we were talking about before, greatness never dies. So to go and listen to that man, or to go to YouTube and watch some videos of him playing because of his phrasing, and he's brilliant. But the same for Buddy, because a genius from birth started playing drums at the age of 2 years old. So go back, watch everything you can, listen to everything you can, and listen to somebody who's a musical genius.
Kathy, Greg, it's been an absolute thrill to
A
meet you.
pleasure.
You've cheered me up.
Oh, excellent. You've cheered us up. Thank you.
Stay there.